Well, welcome to another episode. I'm going to call this a special episode. We need like the little news special alert coming across the bottom of the screen of Letarte on location. There you go. LaJoie with that. I like that. It was pretty good. So Steve Letarte here with Corey LaJoie. It's a special edition. We are not on location yet. I'm at home. Corey, you are at your dad's shop, it looks like. Big Randy over the shoulder.
Well, whether or not he is literally on your shoulder, he's always looking over your shoulder in my subconscious. So it's a perfect image of what actually my real life is.
All right, love it. So it's Steve Letarte here, Corey LaJoie, driver of the number 7 Chevrolet for Spire Motorsports. A bunch of different partners over the course of the year. This week, it's Marwin. And the reason we're talking is because due to COVID protocol, Ryan Sparks, Corey's man on top of the pit box, calling the shots, will not be in Miami. And Corey, I don't know if you know this or not, but this old washed up guy is coming in out of the bullpen to give you help. You're going to have me on the pit box. So I got one, before we get into the conversation, I'm going to drop this on you.
Yeah.
We started 131 cup races.
Okay.
It's been over 200 since I've done this. So okay. I'm not saying you should be nervous, but you might want to be nervous.
It's kind of like riding a bike, right? But it just has 750 horsepower, and you got to put tires on it when everybody else does. So I'm confident you'll be able to, like we had a Twitter exchange, you'll be able to drop the clubs for a weekend. Guys at the country club will sure miss you on a Sunday afternoon, but it'll be cool to hear you on the headset this weekend.
Yeah, I want to talk about that Twitter change because you kind of took a shot. You said, what, the celebrities are coming out, which I'll take it. So then I said, I didn't know I had to go to the track. I thought, what are you talking about? And you said, the Zoom invite's attached. I looked, there was no attachment. I think that means I'm getting a plane ticket.
Yeah, you better. There's a plane seat with your name on it. We might be able to do some stuff over Zoom. I do think Ryan Sparks will probably be on Zoom at some point or another on the pit box. I'm sure he'll be in a chat because we're certainly going to miss him, and him and I have some good, some good communication going. And this is really the first true test of where we kind of stack up with our equipment at Spire Motorsports this year with this first true mile and a half after we go to Daytona both times for the road course and the Speedway. So I'm excited to get down there and just see how we stack up and really the guys are going to be racing with each and every week.
Well, that's where I really wanted to go with this, right? So, you drove the 32 a year ago. You've committed to Spire this year. I want to get into that a little bit. The first thing I want to talk about, though, is talk about your year. Top 10, the Daytona 500, decent car at the road course, kind of got away from you there can you really, with a Speedway and a road course, do you literally just have to bite your tongue and wait for Miami and see where the mile and a half stack up? It had to feel good at Daytona, though.
Yeah, I mean, anytime you start the year off with a top 10, we put both Spire cars in the top 10 with Jamie running 8th and myself running 9th. So great start to the year for our team. And then we had a decent run going at the road course. I made some mistakes that I'm going to clean up for the other 6 that we're going to. But you kind of have an idea. You kind of have an idea of who you're going to race with. Leading into the season on what kind of budget you have and cars and people and all that sort of stuff that you can kind of compare with. But I think that we're going to be able to over exceed some expectations with these Ganassi cars and Hendrick motors that we have underneath of me, because I know the guys that we were racing around last year with that 32 car and I knew that wasn't, I think the newest car we had was 3 or 4 years old and we were on a B motor program. So I think that we made some people's days hard last year with hardly nothing. So I'm excited to get a couple races in, go to Homestead obviously this weekend, go to Vegas and Phoenix, a couple places that I get around pretty well and try to put a couple top 20s here together.
Well, you mentioned it, Ryan Sparks. I have informed him the chat better stay open because if somehow we get put on the crash clock, just so you're aware, I don't even know where to find the crash clock. When I'm in the booth, they have somebody telling my ear how much time is left on the 7 down there on pit road. Being on pit road is going to be a quick repair because it's not going to expire on my watch.
I hope that we're not on the crash clock. I'll be Homestead will definitely reach out and bite you when you're trying to make a speed run in that top lane like you see guys like Larson and Reddick do, which I think there is a time and place for it later in the race, but you got to weigh some risk versus reward early in the race just to find a little speed here and there. But, I got a pretty good feel for Homestead. It's probably not statistically one of my best mile and a halves, but I'm also never been in anything that makes downforce and has some horsepower underneath of me. So I'm excited to get down there and see really where I stack up on a first true test of a mile and a half, which is kind of the bread and butter of what we have in our Cup Series schedule.
So joking aside, I joke it has been over 200 races. The crash clock, I joke, but I'm real. I've never crew chiefed a race with a crash clock. I've never crew chiefed a race with a choose cone. I'm looking at this as not only am I honored that you and Ryan feel that I can go execute Ryan's plan, because that's what we're doing. This is Ryan's car, Ryan's plan. I'm really, they could call me the crew chief, but really all I am is the guy on the radio to just manage the race. This is Ryan Sparks' whole deal. I won't say nerves. I just want to make sure I do my spot for you guys. So as a driver, new voice in your ear. What is it, man? What is the one thing that's got you nervous that me and you need to talk about before we start? Is it counting it in the pit box? Is it communication? What's the part that you're like, man, I don't know how this is going to go?
No, none of that, to be honest. I mean, you know what you're doing. I mean, hell, you won with Dale Jr., so I'm in pretty good hands, right? So, you know, and I'm from the same town, so we both kind of talk the same. So you know how to understand what I'm trying to say when I get fired up. So I really don't think that, you know, is there going to be some hitches? I think that what we have going on now with the one-day shows with no practice, I think that crew chief driver communication is more important with changes made from practice to the race versus the communication throughout the race, right? Because when I'm saying I need some left rear lateral grip during the race, there's only 2 adjustments you can do, right? But when if we had a 2-hour practice, you know, I'm in the car, I'm out of the car, you're up on scales, and you're actually talking to Sparks or yourself on what changes to make. And that's where, you know, my number scale on what the balance of the car is. I think Ryan and I started to figure out each other pretty quick, and he could make a change to my number scale that was pretty spot on towards the end of the year. So we don't really get that a whole lot now. It's just like, hey, what do we have our notes from last year? Let's adjust on a little bit and fire off what we think is going to be the best setup for the race. But, you know, the familiarities of calling a car into the box, man, you've done it for hundreds of times. I don't think this one coming out on Sunday is going to be any different.
Yeah, no, it's funny. I won't lie. I feel a little old now that they gave me those stats, 218 or something. Man, it can't be that long. So just talk about the year. You mentioned the road courses. There are 6 on the schedule. We've got dirt at Bristol. We got Nashville. You know, I know the schedule is long. We're going to go through it all. Give me the one. Give me the one, either new track, new whatever that you have circled that you're either most afraid of, most excited for. You know, you can be honest, like what's on your radar that gives you some anxiety or gives you a little confidence?
Well, the one I have circled for our first, what I would probably consider, you know, a great run, probably fighting for a top 10 would be Martinsville. I've got a great feel for that place, and Ryan has an awesome setup that we ran well at the 32 last year. That obviously didn't answer your question, but the dirt's going to be a whole new thing for me. I've never raced any dirt races in my life. So you got guys all over the spectrum. You see a guy like Chris Windham, who's a sprint car racer, gets a ride with Rick Ware for the Cup race, and there's some other guys that a really good one to be driving our team car there at Bristol as well. I'm not sure that's out yet, but certainly be able to learn some stuff from him. You know, you got the guys who have a lot of experience in the trucks at Eldora, going to come over and apply that. Guys like Chase Briscoe and some others that'll certainly have a little bit of a leg up. But, you know, I think that it is more of a level playing field than most. So I'm excited to get there and kind of get the elbows up and sling some dirt. And I'm also excited to get to Circuit of the Americas down there in Austin, Texas. I spent some time down there in December running a car, spent 5-6 hours out there. So I learned where the corners are at, learned where the braking markers at. Some corners are off camber, just a lot of those things that takes that learning curve and knocks it down quite a bit. So I'm excited to get the Cup car out there and make some speed. Now, I'm self-admittedly not a road course ringer by no means, but the more I do it, you know, I going to buy one of Kyle Larson's WR1 iRacing rigs next week, so I can, if it helps me, I don't like doing it, but if it helps me incrementally, then it's worth getting, right? Because NASCAR obviously is kind of leaning the way of more road courses. I don't think they're going to be taking any more off the schedule. If anything, they'll be putting some more on. So I got to strengthen up that weakness a little bit. And they are fun, so I enjoy doing them. I just got to figure out that braking technique and find some speed in those areas.
All right, so we talked a lot about racing. I'm going to end this with a little talk about some fun. You've posted a few pictures about your little man now, your dad. That's got to be awesome. And every time I see this, his push car or something has like a matching scheme. Like, how many partners you got this year? And like, how many, like, are you a decal expert at this point, or what's the plan?
Well, I put my fair share of decals on because when I was working on my own stuff, I would usually rip a right side door off every now and then, allegedly. So I got pretty good with putting decals on, and it's actually worked out. The 2 times where our decal guy over at Spire is laying out like the test car, and it's like a kind of a little mini one to make sure the door spacing and all is correct. And he doesn't use them for anything, just to make sure his decals are lined up. So I snagged those and I slap them on little man's cars. So you gotta have him rolling around in style, man. He's looking good. We got built bar. We haven't released that scheme yet. It's another pretty wild one. So that'll be out next week. Running that at Vegas and some others. And then we've got Schluter, who's been a great longtime supporter of myself. We've got Dryden. We've got U Theory came back on for the 500 and Phoenix won. So we got a couple more races to sell this year, but everybody who's helped me out to get to this point, surely appreciate it.
Well, man, I'm honored that you and Sparks and TJ and everyone at Spire thinks I could go there and blow the dust off the headset and call this thing. As we've said multiple times, my goal is to just execute you and Sparks's plan. It's fun listening to y'all on the radio. And I'm gonna be up there analyzing it the second half of the year, piece by piece, lap by lap.
For sure. So, now, Steve, do you need us to get you a radio? Because I know when you and Junior were doing it, you had strings attached to.
Yeah. Pick on the old guy.
Yep.
That's fine. We didn't have the signboard with the guy. We actually had it on the pole. We had all the same stuff. So, listen, I've heard it all. It's fine. Just remember that I control this video, and I'm the guy on TV. Miss your pit box one time, and we're gonna see who can make the most jokes.
That's right. I'm looking forward to it. It's gonna be a fun weekend. We'll have a good run down there in Miami.
It is, and I appreciate the opportunity. I know I'm going to learn a lot. I'm excited to be thrown back into the fire. I think it's going to really help me the second half of the year to just remind myself what the crew chiefs up and down pit road, the decisions they have to make. Corey, man, good luck. I'm excited to join you. It's going to be fun down there. And this has been an emergency edition of Letarte on Location. I'm coming out of retirement, joining this guy, Corey LaJoie, down in Miami. It's going to be a blast.
Let's do it.